Farhod, and today I'll be reporting on my pre-graduational internship. So during my internship, I worked as a research assistant at SDU under my supervisor, Jumanyaz Mamad. I worked from the 12th of February until the 17th of May, so roughly 3 months, and I worked on two big projects, one called Graph-Based Approach to Course Design and Learning Path Optimization, and the second, Graph-Based Learning Path Recommendations using Self-Efficacy and Predictive Performance. So let's go over these works. First off, my aims and objectives. My first aim was to improve my ability to conduct research, so specifically I want to complete research projects. I also want to develop my programming skills, specifically to strengthen my Python programming skills, and I want to explore the field of machine learning and learn how to implement different ML models. So what was the overview of my responsibilities? I had to conduct research, so gather meaningful, credible, and reliable sources that we could use for the projects and for the research papers. Additionally, I was responsible for implementing code, for conducting the experiments for the projects, doing stuff like normalizing data, implementing machine learning models for path optimization or student performance prediction. I also helped in writing research papers, so I would collaborate with my supervisor to create research papers that were up to academic and professional standards, and hopefully these could be submitted to some journals or some conference papers for publication. And finally, I was involved in reviewing work, so anything I did from conducting research paper, implementing code, to writing the actual research papers themselves, I would overview it and review it with my supervisor, make sure it's the best version of itself, and make sure it's up to our standards. Now let's discuss some of the methods and materials, starting by what tools I use. So the research itself was mostly conducted using Google Scholar, IEEE, or ResearchGate, and other research databases. The project implementation and experimentation was done on Google Colab using the Python programming language. That's where I wrote all my code. The research papers were written in LaTeX format using Overleaf, and the project itself was supported on Google Drive. That's where everything was stored, and we would use Docs for like writing initial drafts and Sheets for managing student data. So what kind of works did I complete? As I mentioned, I was responsible for conducting research. A professional or academic research project typically includes somewhere between 20 to 25 sources. So I would find sources, take or find the key takeaways from them and share them to be included in the project. And that was my responsibility for both of the projects I mentioned. Additionally, I was responsible for implementing the code for the experimentation. So I would write code to normalize student data or predict student performance based on their self-efficacy results. I would implement different ML models in order to predict the student performance scores and also to recommend them learning paths. I also implemented some graph traversal algorithms in order to manage the graph-based structure we had for course design. And so all of this code I wrote on Colab using Python, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, let's move on. Then after kind of conducting the experimentation, writing the code, I would share my findings. So what kind of paths did my code recommend? What insights did it find? What statistics about the students did it show us? All of this I would share to be included in the research paper, which was kind of the final step, was actually writing the research papers. It was a culmination of all of the work we did. So all the research that was done, all the experimentation, all the code written, all the results, it would be compiled into research papers that could be submitted to be professionally published. And since we had two projects, that meant we had two research papers that we finished during the internships and that were able to be submitted. In conclusion, the pre-graduational internship, it was an opportunity for me to learn, to grow, and improve in my field. I was able to assist my supervisor in research projects that related to graph theory, machine learning, and learning path recommendations. My work was done on a weekly basis, both in person collaborating with my supervisor and during my own time, so that we could maintain our schedule and stay on our deadlines, meet our deadlines. And my time working as a research assistant during my internship, it was an invaluable experience. I was able to improve my programming skills, strengthen my ability to conduct research, and just work on large projects. So thank you for listening.